Annie here. I'm here to talk today about more of our travel stuff. So I thought what was really going to happen today was that we were going to load a video about our solar panel setup, which we got this week, which is super exciting for me because a whole bunch of different reasons. But we hadn't actually thought about we were planning to kind of go without power in some ways, like to see if we could do it with things like powering up phones and devices via the car, going into libraries, like using places like McDonald's, etc., to be able to power up. These are from King's. So yeah, these are King's solar panels. So I was using, the plan was maybe to go with these sorts of stuff and actually travel from there. And then see how we went, see what we maybe needed. But secretly, I have always wanted to have a solar panel system set up. So we went into JCar this week and we talked to the guy there. He showed us all around. He helped us set up, because what I wanted was something simple and easy. I don't actually have a whole lot of knowledge when it comes to power and electricity. Ben has done like a really basics course once upon a time on electricity and how to use electricity, but I have really basic knowledge. I don't have a whole lot at all. So I've been watching some of the American travelers, and of course in America they have this thing called, I think it is a gold zero. I'm not sure. I can't remember off the top of my head because I didn't invest in actually getting to know what their product was, because we don't have it here available in Australia. But essentially it's like you plug your solar power thing into it. See, I'm super technical. You plug your solar power panel into it, and then you can like use like plugs and stuff to actually draw from that, including like plugging in your MacBook or your computer. And so I was hoping that we would have one of those sort of things here. Now, I'm sure there is, because after we talked to our friendly JCar guy and he set us up with a whole bunch of things, I actually found something in their catalog that looks like what I was actually after. Anyway, he set us up with like a battery box and a battery and a solar panel. So that's great. We can start we can start charging phones and devices on that. And Ben's going to load a video all about that setup later. But what it does also open us up to is actually getting a fridge. Now, we were umming and ahhing and tossing up about having a fridge. The camper van that we're traveling in has a power thing. So if we're on a powered site, we can plug it in and we could actually just plug in like a bar fridge. But we're not planning on staying a lot in those sorts of sites because they're super expensive for a large family. So for some of the ones that I have been looking at, because we're a large family, they charge us for 2 sites. And many of those will charge us up to $1,000 a week. So it's, you know, we might as well be buying a house for that amount of money, not staying in a swag and a camper. And so we're probably only going to be using those spaces on special occasions. So like when we want to be really close to a location for a couple of days to go and do something. So for example, one of those things that comes to mind is at some point we'd like to take the children back to like Dreamworld and SeaWorld and all of those sorts of things. So then at that point we might actually invest in staying in a caravan park for a couple of days or a week or so while we're in that zone. Other than that, we're going to be looking for boondocking, free spaces, or really cheap ones. So that's kind of our goal. And so for many of those, we won't be able to have electricity anyway. So we're not going to be able to plug into an electricity sort of outlet. So we have been tossing up and back and forth about whether we would get a fridge. In the meantime, however, we actually brought a 64-litre esky, which is hopefully going to just sit into the boot of the car. My thought process was, if I was going to go down the process of having a fridge, because that esky is actually really, really big and we can fit a whole heap of food in there. And so I was thinking, if I was going to go down the pathway of having a fridge, I think what I really want is actually a freezer. And so then I could freeze like, you know, some water jugs that go into the esky every day to keep it cold, like a fridge. And we could buy meat in bulk, and then, you know, meat's cheaper in bulk. And we could freeze it and we could pull it out of our freezer and use it. And then that frozen meat even can actually sit in the esky and keep the esky cool while it's actually defrosting. So those are some of the options that we've thought about. Now that we've got a solar panel set up, the solar setup that we have actually is going to allow us to have that fridge or freezer set up as well. So that's what I'm excited about when it comes to having the solar setup. So what I wanted to talk to you about today actually was I was going to share some of my bullet journal with you. So if you follow me on my Facebook page, I've got 2 of them. I've got Christina Mathewson, and then I've got Christina Mathewson Business Be Well, where I help business owners get better businesses. I have been talking a lot about my bullet journal in those 2 spaces because it's pretty new to me. So it's a new thing for me. I've been seeing a couple of other YouTubers use bullet journals, and then I've done a whole sort of deep dive into actually listening to Ryder Carroll's ebook and following him, like listening to him on there, and actually really enjoying the ideas behind the philosophy of it. But along with that, I've been struggling for a little while because I'd been using a planner and I wanted to start adding in some of my own stuff as well. I've got so many things on the go, you know, being a mum of 7, being busy business owners, homeschooling, doing all that sort of stuff, that I needed a space where I could just start dumping the information. So I've put into my bullet journal things that I actually need for me, as well as some things that I really want to grow in and get better at. So one of which is quotes. Like, I love reading quotes. I love listening to quotes, extrapolating information from them. So one of the quotes that I've got in here, of course, is from Mark Twain. If it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. If it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first. Which I think is so awesome, to get the hardest things in your day done as soon as possible so that they're done. This bullet journal for me has been really helping me to start to organize and start to get myself into a productive state of mind and actually clarify what it is that I want, how I want it to look, how I need it to go, along with all my lists. So for example, we don't yet have a set route for how we're going to travel Australia. Mostly we want to get out of Tassie and get up to the warmer parts of Australia through winter. And then, of course, through summer, we want to be getting down to the cooler parts of Australia, like down into Melbourne, etc., during that time of the year. But we have no set travel route. Like, there's nothing that we have to be anywhere for specifically at this point in time. There are some trainings that I might like to come back for in October around the Melbourne area, but nothing specific that we have locked in stone yet. And so while we're still in this sort of thinking about where we'll go, what we'll see, what we'll do, I wanted to start keeping a running list of those sorts of things. So in my bullet journal, I've actually got places to go. So I'm starting to write down, you know, when we're coming across something, or remembering times when we've traveled before, I'm just starting to write down places. So over here, I've got things like places in Tassie that I want to take my family to before we leave Tassie. So Wineglass Bay, for example, Cockle Creek was one of my favorites growing up as a kid. Cradle Mountain, those are places that my kids haven't seen yet, and I would like them to experience it before we actually leave Tassie. Then as we were driving down from Brisbane to Tasmania 7-ish years ago, no, it was more than that because Taylor's 7. So it would have been more like 10 years ago. We had to do a really speedy trip. So we traveled from Queensland to Tasmania. I think we only had like 7 days to do it. It was very, very fast. We didn't actually have a lot of time to stop. Like, essentially we'd wake up in the morning, drive, have lunch in some town, drive, and then have dinner in the town and stay in a motel there. And then we'd get up again and we'd do the same process until we got to Melbourne, where we were able to get on the boat. And so that drive was so quick. There was so much that would have been awesome to actually see on the trip down. And one of those things for Ben was the giant guitar. He saw this big sign about the giant guitar and he was super excited about it. So he wanted to go see that, and we of course didn't get to go see that. So that is now on my list of places that we want to go. I've also got things like the giant pineapple and so on. So if you're in Tassie, or not Tassie even, but if you're in Australia, and you have some recommended places for us that we should go see, put them in the comments for me, because I would love to see as many places as possible. Keep in mind that we want to do as much free stuff as we possibly can, because for us, there's 9 of us, so any activity costs us 9 times as much as a single person. So we want to keep the cost as low as possible, do some of the really fun things that we actually want to do as a family, like pay for some of those things. And again, we have no end date in mind at this point. Like, we're just traveling, seeing where life takes us, seeing what happens. We have no end point. We don't have to go around in a clockwise or an anti-clockwise direction. We can sit and stay. Like, part of me actually would like to just sort of explore each area and get to know each area of Australia. So I'm in no rush to get to new places all of the time. So exploring is one of those things that I'm more than happy to do. But the other thing from my bullet journal that I wanted to share with you is, this is my travel prep tasks. So I've got a little van with a camper on the back. Ours doesn't look like that, but I couldn't draw it else, it wouldn't work. And so I've got lists here of all the sorts of things that are coming to my mind that we need to do before we get on the road, or to help us get on the road. Some of it is finding out information, like finding out things like what we need to do when we leave our house. What we're going to do there and how that's going to happen. Things like we need to measure our van and our camper together to find out how long they are, so that when I book my trip for the boat, we have that information and we're not getting to the boat with any unpleasant, unexpected surprises. I want to find out things like, how much is it going to cost to go to some of the theme parks that we would like to go to, and if there is any specific caravan parks that we want to go to, so that I can start putting together and putting aside money for those things. One of my things here was solar power, and now I can get to tick that off. There's still a couple of things with our solar power that we need to do. Like, we need to get, there's a special plug that we need to get so that I can use it for my laptop, so I can charge my laptop. There's also another couple of things that we can get to make it a little bit easier along the way. But most of that is done. Yay! The next thing, water. We need to sort out our water carriers and all of that. We need to sort out backpacks and insurance and all of those things, along with jobs that we need to do for getting our house ready to hand back over. Essentially a whole heap of jobs here, like making sure our van gets a good working over. We want to paint the camper and decorate it a little bit. I would love to get roof racks on. I don't know if I'm going to manage that before we go, or whether we'll end up doing that along the way, but I would love to have roof racks on. Clothes. What clothes are we going to take? How are we going to take them? How are we going to pack them? All of that sort of stuff. How's our kitchen going to work? All of it I've essentially put down in my master list, so that I don't have to keep thinking about it anymore, so that it is here whenever I need to think about, okay, what are we working on our van today? I just come to the list, I find something that I could start working on, and I start putting that into action. And this for me is one of my favorite things that I'm using my bullet journal for, is to put all my master lists, so my list for my businesses, my personal things like my habit tracker, travel stuff, all of that, to put that all into here. And then I start to create and bring that into life, so that it's no longer on my list, but it actually gets moved into my done stuff. So that is how I am using my bullet journal to help us with our traveling and getting on the road. And of course, then I break it down into daily things, so that I get everything done that I want to get done. So that's going to be it for this video. Let me know if you're thinking about traveling or getting on the road. Are you using anything to help you sort of plan, or are you like I was and just had everything everywhere? Like I had lots and lots of different papers, lots and lots of different lists that I was looking at, all sorts of things, but I needed to consolidate them and actually start getting them done so that we get to our travel date. Now, I know some of you have asked us when we're planning on leaving. At this point, it's around April, May. It may also end up getting pushed back until after June, but there's a couple of things that are just dependent on that before we really lock in our boat date. Once our boat date is locked in, there's no going back, because that's a lot of money to get over, and then we're done. But we'll keep you updated as we continue to move through this journey and actually start to do some more changes. We're going to be doing some renos on the camper. Ben's going to show you the solar panel setup that we've got. We're going to start talking about the back of the van and how we can turn that into a kitchen. And I'm going to share with you all of that along the way. All right, bye for now. I hope you are having the most amazing day. And if you have any suggestions, love to hear them in the comments. Love to hear your feedback. If you've got any places of must-to-sees, let us know, because we would love to see them. Also, if you know any like really awesome free camping spots in Australia, put those in the comments for us too, because I'm super keen to start adding those to my list so that when I get my big map out and I actually start planning where we're going to for at least a couple of months, I can actually put those in there as well. So I wanted to remind you that if you are loving these sort of vlogs, you're really wanting to follow us on our journey, you're loving my health information that I'm putting up, I'm looking at doing a blend of the both. So as we start to get on the road, I will do, of course, a whole bunch more cooking videos. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be talking about the beautiful nutrients that are available in there, and hopefully as well share with you some of the herbs that we find along the way. So I would love to collect a whole bunch of different herbs. I'd love to host some herbal walks or workshops in the areas that we're at, looking at some of the local herbs that are available, teach you how to use them and when to use them and what's appropriate, all of that sort of stuff. If you are loving this though, I would love you to press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to press the notifications so that you get a notification when we upload a new video, which we're hoping to do every Thursday around about this time each week. So don't forget, like and subscribe and join us on this journey. Bye for now.